So we've been focused completely on the JavaScript language for these past few movies, and that is a great way to start with JavaScript. But of course, it doesn't run in a vacuum. Our scripts will be attached to a web page, and it's the web page that comes first. They bring our script with them, not the other way around. So our page, whether a simple page or a complex one, is the canvas that we're painting on. It's the environment we're affecting. It is the world that we live in. And we must be able to reach from our JavaScript into these pages and cause these pages to reach back into our script. And we do that by understanding the DOM, the Document Object Model. And I consider knowing your way around the DOM to be the single most important skill for a JavaScript programmer to develop. But this is a term that's often a little tough to understand the first time you hear it because it's kind of vague. People ask, well, what is the DOM? Is it a language? Is it part of JavaScript? What is it? And then you look it up on the web and you find phrases like, the Document Object Model is an application programming interface that defines logical structure of well-formed XML and HTML documents, and it really doesn't help most people. But it's quite a simple idea at heart. So let's take the DOM piece by piece. Well, what do I mean by document? Well, if I'm in Microsoft Word, that might mean one thing, but we're not. For us, the document simply means the page, not the site, the web page. The web page is the document. But this document can be represented in different ways. Well, it already is. You know this already. After all, which one of these is the web page? Well, both of them. One's the browser view, one's the source code. It's the same document. It can have a different representation. What we need to also understand is how JavaScript perceives the same document. Same document, different representation. But if that's all we mean by document, then what's the object part of the document object model? Well, when we talk about objects in programming languages, it's really easy to get wound up in deep semantic meaning, but we don't need to. We've already used objects in JavaScript. Dates are objects, arrays are objects. We've made our own objects. And an object is just a thing. Something, anything that makes sense to treat as an individual piece, even if it contains other things. For us, it really means the elements, the components, the individual pieces of this document. If I talk to a user, I can say, look at the headline, look at the bullet point list, look at the whole page, even look at the third letter in the second word, and they understand what I mean. If I talk to you as a web developer, I can say, now look at the H1 tag, look at the unordered list part, look at the whole document. All of these things are objects, and yes, sometimes they contain other objects. That's okay. You have no problem understanding that the unordered list piece contains individual list item pieces. And in the same way, what we'll do is we'll have a JavaScript term for every piece, for every object, at whatever level that makes sense, from the entire document to the smallest piece. And that leads us to the idea of the model of a document object model. Now, what they mean here is model as in a business model or data model. You've seen flowcharts or database diagrams, the idea of taking something complex and making it abstract, making it simple. Well, with a web page, we should be able to take any HTML and represent it as a tree structure. With the simplest of HTML here, it contains a head and a body. The head itself contains a title element. The body contains an H1 for a heading, a P for a paragraph, and an unordered list. The unordered list contains 3 list items. We're able, with this diagram, to represent the structure, the tree structure of this HTML document. We could even decide on words for these. If we were drawing this up on a whiteboard, we could call each of these pieces nodes. We'll pick a P or a body or H1 and call them all nodes. We could even develop terms to describe relationships, like picking a node and asking, what's its parent? Does it have any child nodes? And really here what the model means is, what do we call these things? And how do we describe the relationships between them? Because it's not going to do me any good if I make up my own names for these objects that conflict with your names for these objects. If I call a piece a node and you call it a doohickey. So the model is simply a set of terms that we can agree on, a set of standards that we can use. So what we end up with is an agreed upon set of terms that describe exactly how to interact with the pieces of a web page. Well, that's a long phrase, so we call it the document object model. It's not a language, it's an idea, it's a convention, but JavaScript agrees on this DOM, so it's available in JavaScript. It's an agreed upon terminology that will let us describe and interact with any web page, not one specific one, any one. When I know the basic concepts of the DOM, I can write JavaScript that navigates around any page. I can say, I want to get the text of the title. I want to get the second paragraph element. I want to get the third link in the menu and change how it's displaying. In this case, hide it. Or change the background color of all paragraphs, or get all the list item elements, or find an image and start to move it. Change a link from its default behavior to actually performing a JavaScript function, or even creating new unordered lists, or creating paragraphs, or creating menus and inserting them into the page on the fly. And a lot more besides. And that's why we need to know the DOM. It is the way to reach into the page from our script and the way our page can reach into our script.